All right, let's get right into it. When you hear the name Charles Dickens, you probably think of these incredible characters and wild, sprawling stories. But here's the thing. His genius went way beyond just telling a good story. Dickens was a genuine force of nature, a writer who picked up his pen and used it like a weapon to fight the injustices of his time. And believe it or not, he actually changed the world.
I mean, it's a massive question, right? How can a bunch of words on a page actually make a difference in the real world? Well, that is exactly what we're going to break down. We're going to see how Dickens was a master at weaving together pure entertainment with this fierce social mission that made his readers not just feel something, but want to do something.
And this is the key thing you got to get about Dickens. He wasn't just writing about the world he saw. He was putting the whole thing on trial. His books were these vivid, in-your-face portraits of what it was like to be poor, how corrupt the big institutions were, and just the moral rot at the heart of this new industrial society. He held up a mirror, and a lot of people did not like what they saw. Now, to understand the fire in his writing, you have to know where it came from. Dickens's passion for change wasn't something he just read about in a book. Oh no, it was personal. It was forged in the pain of his own childhood. And you can literally pinpoint the moment everything changed for him. 1824. He's only 12 years old, and his entire world just falls apart. His dad gets thrown into debtor's prison, and little Charles is forced to go work in this grimy boot-blacking factory. And that experience, the shame, the hardship, it stuck with him forever. It gave him this incredible empathy for people who were struggling, and a burning desire to expose the systems that caused all that pain. So, with that fire in his belly, what does he do? Well, the second he gets a public platform, he uses it. His first novels weren't just novels. They were bombshells, designed to blast a hole in the wall and let some light into the darkest corners of Victorian England.
And one of his first big targets was the workhouse. Now, on paper, these places were supposed to help the poor. But the reality was a nightmare. As Dickens showed the world, they were often these brutal, cruel institutions, basically designed to punish you for the crime of being poor. It was just a grim, hopeless existence for thousands of people.
And then came Oliver Twist. What Dickens did here was nothing short of revolutionary. He took this abstract idea of poverty, and he gave it a face and a name. Suddenly, this poor, innocent orphan, Oliver, became a symbol for a whole generation of abused kids. Dickens basically dragged the filthy, brutal reality of the workhouse right into the fancy living rooms of the middle class, forcing them to look at a world they'd been trying really, really hard to pretend didn't exist. But he was just getting started. After taking on the workhouses, his next crusade was against another broken institution that was chewing up and spitting out children, the corrupt, for-profit boarding schools that were all over the country. So in Nicholas Nickleby, he creates one of the all-time great literary villains, the truly awful headmaster, Wackford Squeers. His school, Dotheboys Hall, became the symbol for all the neglect and abuse happening in these places that were supposed to be educating kids. The book's description was so shocking, so real, that it actually led to reforms of the school system in Yorkshire. I mean, just think about that. A novel literally changed the law. That's real power. So as Dickens gets older, his writing gets even more ambitious. He starts to see that villains like Fagin or Squeers, well, they were just symptoms of a much bigger sickness. The real problem was the failure of society's core institutions. You can almost track the evolution in his books. He starts by zooming in on the story of one person, like Oliver Twist. Then he pulls the camera back a bit to attack a whole institution, like Dotheboys Hall. And finally, he goes for the whole shebang, condemning entire rotten systems, like the courts, the government, the whole way the economy was set up. And if you want proof of this bigger picture attack, look no further than his masterpiece, Bleak House. This quote from the book just says it all, doesn't it? It's such a savage takedown of a legal system that he saw as just completely self-serving and totally disconnected from actual justice. The whole story of Bleak House spins around this ridiculous court case, Jarndyce and Jarndyce, that just goes on and on for generations, bankrupting and destroying the lives of everyone involved. It's this brilliant, devastating metaphor for a legal system so tangled up in its own red tape that it actually does more harm than good. It's a massive, complex attack on a broken system. And this just gives you a glimpse of how wide his net was. He went after the broken legal system, the soul-crushing greed of big business, the mind-numbing effects of industrialization in hard times.
He even invented something called the circumlocution office in Little Dorrit, which was his hilarious take on a government department whose only job was to figure out how not to do anything. Seriously, no part of society was safe from his pen. So after all this, after a whole career spent fighting these battles with his stories, what's the ultimate legacy? Why are we still talking about him, reading him, watching movies of his work more than 150 years after he died? Well, I think you can find the answer in what might be his most perfect story, A Christmas Carol. It's so much more than a holiday tale. It's basically Dickens's entire philosophy, his most important message to the world, all wrapped up in one unforgettable little package. See, at the end of the day, Scrooge's transformation is the transformation Dickens wanted for all of society. Through this one guy, he argues that anyone can change, that nobody is beyond hope. The story is a massive plea for empathy, for kindness, for looking out for each other. Scrooge represents all the problems of greed, and poor Tiny Tim gives a human face to the innocent victims of that greed. It's a reminder that what we do, or what we fail to do, matters. And the man was a machine. He pushed these messages out relentlessly. Get this, 15 major novels, and that's not even counting the 5 novellas and hundreds of short stories and articles. He wasn't just a writer, he was a one-man media empire, shaping public opinion on a scale that's hard to even imagine today. So his legacy is, well, it's immense. He didn't just write amazing books, he helped redefine what a novel could even do. He proved that storytelling could be a powerful tool for social good, shaping the way we think about justice and our responsibility to one another to this very day. And that all leads to one last fascinating question. Back then, his targets were the workhouses, the broken legal system, the unchecked greed of his time. So if he were here right now, writing in our world, what would he see? What parts of our society would he put on trial? I think the greatest tribute to his legacy is that we can still ask that question. And the scary part is we can all probably think of a few answers.